Got another track guide for you guys. This can be used for B-Fix this week. That's why I'm making it this week. Mainly making this for people in my Xfinity League, some of the newer people, to just kind of give them a little bit of a track guide, what to expect, kind of where to brake, where to turn in, how to run, just kind of overall knowledge for the track. But like I said, you can use this for B-Fix this week. It's really for anybody. I tend to be a lower top split, maybe mid top split racer, somewhere in that range. But anyways, I'm gonna break this down into a few different segments. First thing I'm gonna do is turn by turn, which is only 2 turns, but I'm gonna just kind of break it down nice and slow. So exiting turn 4 here, come towards turn 1, you're gonna notice a few things really where the dotted lines start angling to the left. If you're on the very top groove, it's where this first little dash on the track is. Obviously, depending on where you're running, it's going to depend on what you're able to see and what you're using. But really, where these start to bend, or where this one starts, is where you're going to start your braking. And you're not using a ton of brake here, definitely below 50%. You're going to kind of trail off of it as the corner goes and gently roll back into the throttle. Any quick pedal movements are going to cause the car to break loose. Very easy to do in this car, and you just don't want to do that. So turn 1, you can see that's probably 60%, so maybe I lied a little bit, but you can see I roll out of that pressure pretty quick, and then I'm just letting it roll the center. So turn 1 and 2 is kind of a double apex turn, I would say. So you're entering a little bit lower, it may drift a little bit up, and then you're going to kind of take another late apex, or you're going to kind of enter middle, run middle through the middle of the turn, and then take that late apex. So you may not diamond it as much as more just kind of turning in and then really cutting it down to the apex to get back onto the power. I'm going to let this corner roll through at full speed. And then really cut it down. I didn't get down to the bottom line there. And you can see I'm kind of gradual back in the throttle. So I'm kind of playing with the throttle here. Go slow-mo, kind of in and out of it. And then I'm back. I'm at full throttle here. Trying to exit out towards the wall, obviously. Kind of the same thing for turn 3. It's not quite as obvious. But where your dashes start going into the corner again, I guess there's also this yellow, I believe that's a mellow yellow billboard or sign on the wall, not a billboard. Kind of where that is where you're going to start braking for 3 and 4. 3 and 4 is a little bit different. It doesn't have the double apex to it quite as much, and it does have kind of like a rolled curb on the inside that you absolutely want to avoid. And also the very bottom groove, especially from center off, is very flat. You just got to be cognizant of that it will get kind of tight and try and push your car up the track if you get too low on it. So you just got to be a little bit more patient getting back into the throttle. But kind of right there where see the mellow yellow billboard? Not a billboard. Sign. Billboard. Sign. But I'm peaking here at probably 50% throttle, 50-60% throttle. And then I'm already starting to roll out of it. Turning in. I'm running a little bit higher here. I mean, you're pretty much going to either run this bottom groove or this middle groove. I'm going to call this the middle groove, either by looking at this seam or the dotted line. More so the dotted line, I would say, because if you have somebody under you, you don't want to crowd them too much. This rolled curb, is what I'm talking about. Absolutely avoid that. If you touch that, it is going to upset the car so much. You just do not want to do that. I'm a little bit too high here, so you can't see it as well, but really where this curb stops and it starts to go to the cutout for pit road is when I'm already applying some throttle here, but you're going to really start getting back into the throttle, and then once you're crossing all this white section here is when you're going to work on getting back to full throttle, applying a lot more throttle to exit off the turn here. And you can see I'm playing with the throttle again on exit. All right, so I'm gonna let a few laps play through here consecutively. Then I'm gonna go to the middle of the run. I did a 50 lap run. Do 3 laps in the middle of the run and then 3 laps late in the runs, just so you can kind of see maybe some differences. Got a little bit loose there. You don't want to turn in too shallow to turn 3 there, or else it will tend to get a little bit loose. It's got a little bit of a later turn in. All right, so that was 3 laps here early. That was the 158, the 124, and the 128. So I'm going to go a little bit later here in the run. There's not a ton of fall off if you look all the way to the end. I'm running pretty much 20 flat, so you're talking about 8/10 fall off in 50 laps. But let's go to like lap 20 here, see if there's any real differences. There shouldn't be. It kind of remains the same throughout. You may just get back and see I'm getting really a lot lower there. Kind of as I figured it out, I went into this just straight into practice, fighting the wheel a little bit there on entry. Yeah, I went in with pretty much no practice, hadn't run at this track in months, so it took me a little bit to figure it out, but so I had to squeeze out of the throttle there on exit, or else I was going to hit the wall. Got into the throttle a little bit too early. All right, and then I'm going to go to the end of the run, so I'll do 47 through 49 here. I did this in an actual practice session. I just went into a separate room of it, so you can see some of the voice chat pop up from time to time. But it remains the same here. I do find it's a little bit harder to keep it on the absolute bottom as the run goes on, so the line may move up a little bit. Running a higher line is a fairly good defensive line because it's just so hard to pass down low. So you may be able to hold somebody off pretty successfully. I'm going to touch on a little bit of kind of expected lines and stuff here after this. One more lap here. Like I said, I mean, the braking points and all that are staying the same. You may ease into the throttle a little bit less. Right. So that's kind of differences between beginning, middle, and run, or end of run. There's honestly not huge ones. There's just a little bit of tire fall off. I didn't notice any characteristic changes in the car. I did fail and I did not screenshot my tires or look at my tires after the run, and I reset my car a couple times, so VRS cleared it out. So I don't know what my tires actually were, but the car felt pretty balanced. So I think my right front and right rear probably weared pretty evenly. Now, a couple more things I want to go on is just kind of general, I guess, racing etiquette for the track, and kind of some examples of things that could go wrong. First one I mentioned earlier is get in on that curb in 3 and 4. Just avoid that. If you hit it, it's gonna be a handful. You're gonna be all over the place, potentially push up into somebody. You just want to avoid that. So this lap here, exiting 3 and 4, I get back into the throttle too hard, and the car tries to snap loose on you. And I had to bail out of the throttle. So just an example of trying to get back into it too hard and what can happen. So, all right. Something else that I did during this run, I didn't necessarily do the best job of it, but I did essentially the groove and how you want to run if you're on the bottom groove underneath somebody, and if you're in the second groove with somebody under you, and kind of what's expected of you. Because that can be challenging, arguing over space and whatnot, and it can lead to a lot of incidents. That's something I wanted to throw in here. So this lap, this is running the second groove as if you have somebody underneath you. I probably pinched down a little bit too much here in 1 and 2. You essentially want to use this dotted line as your inside line and try and avoid going below it. If you're going below it, you're kind of encroaching on the inside car's space, and that can lead to an incident, like I said. So you just enter a little bit higher, turn in a little bit later. The braking point kind of remains about the same, and you're diamonding it here. I get down too low here, and it would have led to an incident because I would have crowded the inside car, especially right here. I'm going for the apex. I needed to be more out here. I'm still kind of diamonding it a little bit, but giving them the space. Like, that wasn't even close. But the entry was kind of proper. 3 and 4, I do better on both of these laps. 1 and 2, not so much, but the principle's there. You want to kind of use that dotted line. Again here, entering a lot higher, but I'm keeping it on this white line. That's what it looks like from outside the car. But you want to try and keep it on that line and don't really go above it. On exit, you would think, okay, so this entire middle groove is my groove, and this whole bottom groove is the bottom cars. I'm going to tell you that's not the case. If you're 3 wide, yeah, sure, that's expected. But if you're just 2 wide, you as the outside car should still be exiting out to the wall, like this. So there's 3 grooves here on the exit. You should be exiting up to groove 3. And I would expect the inside car to exit up to groove number 2. Again, if you're 3 wide, then you need to kind of stay in your lanes, but you should not be 3 wide here. If you are, there's bigger issues. Another lap of it. Enter high. I do a little bit better job there, but I need to be higher. I need to be more at this white line. But again, on exit, I'm expected to go out to groove 3. And groove 1 is going to go to groove 2. If you try and hold groove 2 here, you can expect the car on the inside to come out into you, because it's just expected that you're going to carry more speed and exit out to the wall. Three and 4 here, again, keep it above that dotted line, and then exit out to the wall. the flip-flop of that is going to be laps 37 and 38 here. So this is kind of going to be what I would expect somebody to run it when you're at the bottom groove. So all the way to the bottom, keep it on mid-corner, keeping it below this white line, giving the outside car plenty of space, and then exiting out to the second groove. Now, what I do a little incorrectly here is I cross over this dotted line. And at first I thought that was okay. But then when I go to look at how much space there is, and yeah, there's space for a whole car here, there's not right here. You've just pinched that person into the wall. So you need to really do your best to keep it below this line if somebody is to your outside. I do 3 and 4 a lot better, keeping it down. Keep it to the inside. Right where this pit entry is where you can really feel the track flatten out, and right after it when you're down low. But exiting out to the second groove, like I said, and that's giving that outside car plenty of space here. You can maybe be a little bit more to the left, but this is fine. You just don't want to crowd them too much. You're just going to wreck you both. Keep it to the inside. Again, I kind of push out a little bit too much. You'd get more space than that. I know this may not be the best example of this, but conceptually, that's what you're expected to do. I was just trying to do it on the fly without reviewing it. I'm a little bit high there, but then on exit, keep it below the line and get the power down. And then one last thing I did, I do this at the end. I don't know if this is fast. This is a qualifying lap. I just kind of, I did one before and it wasn't as fast, and I went and put one in. I didn't put much of an effort, but when I did it, it was the fastest time in the session. And there's a lot of cars in here. Granted, there's a lot that can happen in a session, track state change, track temperature change, yada, yada, yada. But I feel like it's a pretty quick lap. So this is just what a qualifying lap looks like. You're just going to be more aggressive with the throttle, getting back into it. You might brake a tick later, just trying to carry more speed and brake a little bit heavier overall. So we're really keeping it on the bottom, then getting hard back into the power. You can see it try and get a little bit loose there. And then hard in the throttle. And I thought my second lap was going to be better here, but I think I ended up wrecking. Just for an example. Yeah. Try to get into the throttle too much there. But that's it. Let me know if you have any questions.